What's up, everybody? Welcome back. Hope everybody's having a great day or night whenever you're watching this. The NBA play-in tournament is right around the corner tomorrow, the next day, and then leading into the weekend. And I think all these matchups are going to be great, and they're really, really tough to predict. But I'm going to try and give my predictions and my logic on why each team will win and which teams will lose. So before I get into that, if you're new to the channel, please subscribe. And if you enjoy this kind of content, please like the video. And please remember, if I pick your team to lose, that does not mean I hate your team. I love all these teams and like the way they've played this season, how hard they work to get here, but somebody got to lose. Simple as that. Okay. No hard feelings towards you or your team. Let's start it off in the West side though. I want to start with the Western Conference, and the 7 versus 8 matchup is the Clippers at the T-Wolves, I believe. And you know, the season series for this matchup is 3-1. The Clippers have won 3 of the games, losing one of them to the Timberwolves. But I'm honestly not putting a ton of weight into those because 3 out of the 4 of these games took place in like November. That was like 5-6 months ago. Doesn't really hold a lot of weight for me right now. So I don't really look a lot into that season series. Personally, I just don't see the logic in doing that. And honestly, both teams don't look the same. Like the game that the T-Wolves won, a couple of their guys didn't even play, and Paul George was out. So like the teams aren't the same. Norman Powell is now a Clipper. Paul George is back. Like the Robert Covington's there. Like everything's a little bit different in terms of this matchup now. But I'm going to take the team with the experience in this game, and they don't have experience in this tournament, but the team with the experience for playoffs and big games. I'm going to take the Clippers to win this one. I think ultimately their experience will pay off. I think Paul George is getting hot at the right time, or the team is getting hot at the right time. And Timberwolves fans, don't dislike or click right now. There's more on your team coming because I do think there's a little bit of hope for them. But I take the Clippers for this first matchup. I just like them just a little bit better, and I'm going to take it like that. Okay. So now in the West, you got 9 versus 10, which is the Spurs at the Pelicans. The Spurs won this season series. I was actually pretty surprised when I saw this. They won this season series 3-1, winning by an average of about 10 points. However, since CJ got there, it's a 1-1 series. I place a lot of weight on that because obviously getting the second best player on your team into the roster is a big deal. Like on the active team, because Zion's not playing from what I can tell. Brandon Ingram's missed a lot of these games. So the way I'm looking at this, the Pels are going to be healthy enough to do this. I'm taking the Pels to beat the Spurs. The Spurs honestly didn't even, to me, it didn't look like they really cared about even getting into the play-in tournament until they were like, oh, wow, we actually have a shot at this. And then they kind of went in for it, which why not? You know, you have nothing to lose there except for, you know, all you would do is screw your players over and not give them play-in experience. But I think Dejounte Murray being out for as long as he has, and then he lost a lot of weight, I think that plays a big factor in this. And I'm going to take the Pelicans to win this game. They're at home, and they seem to be pretty healthy right now. The team is meshing. I just take the Pelicans to win this game. I don't think it's the Spurs' time yet. I think they're still missing certain pieces, and I don't know exactly what pieces those are, but they just need something to push them. And I don't see it happening in this game. Could happen though. It's a 1-game elimination, so you never know. It's like the college tournament. The 2 seed could lose to the 15 seed. No idea how this is going to go. Personally, I'm taking the Pels though. So that leaves us in the West with the final play-in game being the Pels at the Wolves. And the season series for this one, not surprised, this is tied 2-2. The only thing is though, all the games took place before January 11th. So CJ McCollum was not there for the Pelicans. And so honestly, I'm not placing a lot of weight into these games because they took place like 4 months ago. Don't really care too much if it took place before 2022 even happened. You know, teams are different now. The systems are probably a little bit stronger. There's more cohesion, things like that come into play. And honestly, I just made a Pelicans video, and I really like both teams a ton this year. Like I think the Pelicans have done enough to like at least warrant some betting on them. But personally, I'm going to take the Timberwolves to win this game. I think it's their time. And the main reason I'm doing that is I think they probably have the 2 best players on the floor. Karl Anthony Towns is an all-NBA player. And then I'll take Anthony Edwards, who can go off for 50 at any given time and is a pretty solid defender whenever I watched him. I just think that is just good enough to beat them. And you have home court advantage. And then you have D'Angelo Russell if he comes in and plays a nice game. And this isn't to say Pelicans can't do it or won't do it. I just like the top heaviness of the Wolves to kind of take over just a little bit and push them over the edge. And then Pelicans fans, the season was crazy and you learned a lot about your team. They put together a pretty competent roster now. All you really need is Zion to come back. So I think the future is super bright for them. But honestly, I like how this looks for the West. I think the 7 and the 8 seed both make it out, and I could be wrong. 7 and the 8 seed didn't make it out last year, so if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. It's just a prediction. Who cares? So yeah, Clippers and Wolves. I got them making it out west in the play-in tournament. So now the East. The East is a fun one because I've got some upsets in here, and it's not going to be right here because this is the 7 versus the 8 seed. It's the Cavs versus the Nets. I'm going to put it simply. I'm not going to go into a lot of in-depth detail about this series. I'm taking the team with Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving. If you hate that logic, I don't know what to tell you. I'm going to take the team with possibly the best player on the planet and one of the clutchest guards of all time. That's just what I'm going to do. And especially because the Cavs, I think if Jared Allen was there, I would definitely be like more divided on it. But Jared Allen's not there. From what I can tell, he's not coming back. So I just like the Nets odds of being able to pull this off and being able to win one game. I think that's how it goes. And I think the Cavs inexperience could play a little bit of factor here. So Cavs, no disrespect to you guys. I really think you need a Jared Allen for this in order to clog up the paint and give you that lob threat and those things like that. I think they all matter a lot in the grand scheme of things because it just changes the way teams play against you. So I have the Nets winning this game. I don't know if it'll be a blowout or not, but I got them moving on. Okay. Now the 9 versus the 10. This was my favorite one of the entire play-in tournament right here. Atlanta versus Charlotte, the Hawks versus the Hornets. So they split the season series 2-2. And it's kind of hard for me to pick because I think Trae Young is likely the best player on the floor, but the Hornets might have 2 through 4 with LaMelo Ball, Terry Rozier, and Miles Bridges. I think those 3 guys, I would take them over any of the second options on the Hawks or second, third, fourth options on the Hawks. That's just my personal opinion. You can disagree with that if you want. That's completely fine. Everyone has their own. And ultimately, I think not having John Collins is a big deal for the Hawks. And it may have not been so far in the season without him, but he's a huge reason that they got to the Eastern Conference Finals last year. And when you lose your second option, I think it warrants kind of a little bit of a setback and a struggle. And the team kind of was a little bit lethargic for most of the season anyway. I know they picked it up towards the end, but I think ultimately they just need to retool in the offseason and kind of just they got to get their legs back. I think that's kind of a big deal. And I don't have the Hawks winning this game. I got the Hornets winning this game. Simple as that. I like the depth on the Hornets a little bit better. Not to say the Hawks aren't deep, but I like the options the Hornets have in order to win a play-in game, even though they're not as experienced. I like the Hornets this one. So now that leaves us with the last play-in game. The Hawks should be sent home in this scenario. So that leaves us with the Cavs versus the Hornets. And I had a little bit of fun with this one too, doing some research on it. They split the season series 2-2, so they're right on even. Who am I getting to win this game? Because this is 2 of the youngest teams in the league with I don't know how their seasons really played out in terms of running alongside each other, but I like the Hornets. I think that they're finally going to get over the top here. I think they can do it. Miles Bridges is taking a step. Terry Rozier. We know how great he can play in big games. And LaMelo Ball just seems like a guy ready for stardom. So, and then the Cavs, like I said earlier, I really think Jared Allen not being there is the threat level just goes way down without him. So that's why it kind of sucks because I wish he was playing because it would make this so much harder for me. But, and then another thing that I looked at when I went back and kind of looked at this is box score watching definitely to an extent, but when I went back and looked at it, because obviously I don't remember all these games, picture perfect, Evan Mobley didn't play great, offensively or defensively in any of them. The impact wasn't all defensive team level, like he projects to be. So given the fact that he hasn't really had success against them all year, they're missing Jared Allen. That's a lot on Karis LeVert and Darius Garland and Lauri Markkanen. I think that's just too much. And I think the team that has the guys like LaMelo, Terry, Miles, PJ Washington, Kelly Oubre, they've just got the options to pull this off. So I'm taking the Hornets in this one. So the Nets and the Hornets would make it out east. Now for the Cavs, honestly, this sucks because I really thought they were going to be a playoff team for a majority of the season, but injuries really just killed their season, just absolutely destroyed it. And I definitely think this team is going to be back next year. And I think they'll probably be a 6 seed or above, depending what they do in free agency, because I know Colin Sexton's a free agent. Maybe they sign and trade him or something. I think the Cavs are more built for next year. They just got to stay healthy. And I think that they can make a lot of noise next year. But this year, I think it's the Hornets' time. They could be one of those Cinderella teams. I don't know, because I think this would have them as the 8 seed. So they'd play against the Heat. Heat Hornets, I don't know what that season matchup looks like. I'm going to go back and search that right now, if I get this matchup right. So the Heat won all 4 games. And wow. They blew them out on April 5th. Okay, it was a double OT game, though. That's different. Like a 20-point. Yeah, okay, so the Heat are probably going to win that game, judging by past history. But honestly, there's no shame in that. Getting to the playoffs is a big deal, and I think a lot of these teams, just the experience is so valuable. That's why I really like to play in tournament, because it gives these 9 to 10 seed teams like that juice to learn from any mistakes that they may make, and like the experience of playing in the toughest situations possible. So yeah, let me know in the comments what you guys think of my predictions. If you think they're absolutely horrendous, go ahead and let me know. That's perfectly fine. It's a prediction video. They're probably mostly going to be wrong, knowing my luck with these things. But let me know in the comments. If you're new to the channel, please subscribe. And if you enjoyed this content, please like the video. I really appreciate it. It helps me a ton. But yeah, playing tournament's going to be amazing. I don't care if I'm right or wrong. I just hope these games are great. I'm done here. Peace.